With WWE's first event of the year having taken place, this is Wrestling Hub and you're watching the pay-per-view report for Day 1. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub.
I don't know if Jay caught it clean, but it doesn't matter.
Cover by Jimmy Uso on Kofi Kingston. I'll catch it too.
Starting off with the main card for the Day 1 pay-per-view, the SmackDown Tag Titles were up for grabs as the champions, the Usos, took on the New Day. Woods and Kingston would start off hot, taking Jimmy down and grounding him. Woods hit a senton and Kofi hit a splash for a 2 count. Later on, Jay would take control, dominating Kofi. The 2 isolated Kingston, but Kofi was able to mount some offense and get the tag. Woods and Jimmy are in as Xavier took out Jay, then went for Jimmy. The 2 teams would eventually end up brawling in the ring together as Kofi and Jimmy went to the 4. Jay would counter Woods, Jimmy comes in, and the Usos drop Kingston with a 3D for the pin, as the Usos defeat the New Day to retain their tag belts.
With McIntyre, they telegraphed that a bit. Madcap Moss. Oh, he looked to take control. And how fast, how quick is McIntyre?
Makes no sense.
Next up, McIntyre would take on Madcap Moss with Happy Corbin in his corner. Moss would start off with a headlock, but would get leveled by a clothesline. Corbin would try to interfere, but that would backfire and lead to Moss getting hit with a suplex. Drew got in a ton of offense, but his future shock DDT would be blocked. Still, Drew caught him in a sit-down spinebuster for a 2 count. Moss would then hit a big fall-away slam for a 2 count. McIntyre would go for a superplex, but would be countered and was upside down on the turnbuckle. Drew powers up and launches Moss. On his feet, McIntyre goes for the Claymore, but Moss kicks him to block it. They go off the ropes, which leads to McIntyre hitting his finish as Drew McIntyre defeated Madcap Moss.
First goes Orton. The veterans going at it. Montez Ford.
Hard move by Montez Ford. We know Randy Orton's got a well-documented history of shoulder
Dangerous
problems.
from you.
After that, the Raw Tag Champs RK Bro with Migos in their corner defended their title against the Street Profits. Dawkins starts off with Riddle showing respect before the bout with a fist bump. Riddle gets a headlock, but Dawkins hits a big shoulder. Orton would then be in the ring with Montez as Randy would eventually hit a beautiful dropkick for a 2 count. Orton would hit his stomps and double team Ford with Riddle for another 2 count. Orton would eventually take Ford to the top for a superplex. Montez headbutt Orton to the mat, leaping off the top as Orton moves. Riddle ran in and blocked Ford, lifting him up and dropping him into a double team RKO as RK Bro defeated the Street Profits.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Skull-crushing finale!
Oh, no. Counter by Edge. Counter by Edge. Oh!
Edge and The Miz would face off next as they start with Edge getting a headlock, but Miz would land a big arm drag. Miz would keep Edge down working on the knee. Edge would block a skull-crushing finale, but would be hit with a DDT for a 2 count. Edge would then be hit with the Miz kicks as the crowd gets behind the Rated R Superstar. Edge would end up outside the ring as Maurice approached him. The distraction did not play in Miz's favor, since he'd end up being hit with a DDT to the floor. Edge could be seen in pain from his knee, but they'd both end up back in the ring. They'd be outside the ring again, with Miz dropping Edge face first into the announce table several times. Miz went for his finish on the table, but Edge counters and plants Miz face first on the table. Edge gets back in the ring with Miz and went to the top rope for a crossbody with Miz kicking out. Later on, Edge would charge Miz with a spear, but would end up missing and hurting his knee running into the corner. Maurice would then slap Edge as Miz hit his finish. Edge would kick out as Beth Phoenix made her way out to chase Maurice. Maurice retreats to the back as Beth shares words with the Miz. Miz would turn around and be hit with a spear as Edge defeated The Miz.
In a precarious position on the middle rope.
Sunset. Look at that!
We have a new champion!
Oh!
The match to follow would be Becky Lynch defending her Raw Women's title against Liv Morgan. They'd start with a lockup with Lynch taking Morgan to the corner and slapping her. Morgan would get angry and level Becky. Liv would continue putting in the effort, blocking the disarmer and countering with her own submission. Morgan would launch Becky off the top turnbuckle for a 2 count. Becky would take back control, dropping her over the middle rope and hitting a leg drop for a 2 count. Later, Becky would lock up her submission, but Morgan would be near the rope for a break. Becky would go for a middle rope leg drop again, but miss as Liv hit a top rope drop kick. Lynch would then roll out, which would lead to Becky getting hit with a dive. Becky would lure Morgan outside and take her out by slamming her head on the announce table. Morgan would get back in the ring as Becky threw her right back out. On the outside, Morgan would throw the champion into the steel steps and stomp her arm. Morgan would have her Oblivion countered into a manhandle slam in the ring as Becky Lynch defeated Liv Morgan. Lynch looked like she was trying to put her foot on the bottom rope, but was not close enough, as she gets a clean pinfall victory, this time over Liv.
And the Almighty, poised, ready to strike. Oh no.
Oh yes! Lesnar the target!
Finally, we'd see the WWE title match with the champion Big E taking on Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, and the newly added Brock Lesnar in a fatal 5-way. Rollins and Owens would try to double team Lesnar, but would end up being taken to Suplex City as Lashley and Big E battled on the outside. Big E would get back in the ring and clothesline Lesnar over the top rope. Lashley would then get a hold of E and hit him into the turnbuckle. Then Lashley hit Lesnar through the barricade with a spear.
Oh yes! Lesnar the target!
Lashley would then get in the ring and take on Owens and Rollins, but would end up double super kicked. Rollins would hit a dive on Brock and keep him down for Owens to hit a splash. Rollins and Owens would then stop Lashley on the outside and then hit him with steel steps. They would do the same to Brock. The announce table would then be cleared as Rollins and KO tried to put Lashley through the table. Lashley would block the attempt, but would end up going through thanks to Big E. KO and Rollins would then DDT Lesnar on these steps and head back inside to take on Big E. E would take out Rollins, but would end up powerbombed by Owens for a 2 count. Later on, Rollins looked for the stomp on Big E, but would be hit with an F5 as Lesnar gave one to Big E and Kevin Owens. Lashley would then hit Lesnar with a spear for a near fall. Lashley got the hurt lock in on Brock, yet Big E would make the save and hit the big ending on Lashley. Brock would get back up and hit an F5 on the champ for a 3 count as Brock Lesnar pinned Big E to win the WWE title. And this was your pay-per-view report for day 1. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.